A very good morning to all of you and a very hearty welcome to all of you to our second class of salaries. This is CA Ridhima Bhatia and we are taking forward live coaching classes for CA Intermediate Paper 4 Taxation. This is our second class of salaries. Up till now we have done the heads of income, what is salary actually all about, what does salary comprises of. We started with our understanding of wages and allowances, and in the previous class we completed all of them. Today we'll be taking up retirement benefits and profit in lieu of salaries. So before we proceed, if anyone has a question from the class day before, they may ask, and then after a minute or so we start with our today's session. I hope you people are revising what salary will come in what part. Now, means your question number 1 is on which page? Because page 4.161 is not part of the chapter, I believe. Perfect. So I hope you studied word by word of our module and also solved the question, and I hope your understanding of how the salary computation and how the income computation works. Salary computation आपको बनाना है अलग-अलग. Basically, all the salary components would be given to you, but you have to calculate how much is taxable. Basic salary is always taxable. Allowances majorly are taxable, subject to exemption, and then you have to compute the exemption of each allowances. Clear? So now we will just wait for another. Sandeep, if the allowances is declared but not yet paid to a person, will a person be liable to pay tax on such allowances or not? Is basically there's a thing. Generally, people allowances are the thing which is defined in the terms of contract that you will be paid so and so thing. That if something else occurs, or there's a shift of location of place of duty or any such things, then they pay you. Generally, allowances are always pre-decided on employment, so there's nothing that they would be declared and not paid. Bonuses ke saath, that is the thing. That's why we tax it on receipt basis. Bonus is the only element of your salary component which is taxed on receipt basis. So for Navneet, I'll quickly go take you through the question of the homework part, and I'll tell you how to do it. Navneet, try it again because it's a bit lengthy. I'll take it quickly through it. Mr. Mohit is employed with XY Limited on basic salary of 10,000 per month. He's also entitled to DNS allowance 100% of basic salary, 50% of which is included as in salary as per terms of employment. So पहले आपका basic salary is 10,000, okay, into 12. DNS allowance is again 10,000. But retirement benefits wala is 50%, but taxability of DNS allowance is 10,000. Then what has happened is, in this question, the company gives an HRA of 6,000 per month, which was increased. Which was increased to 7,000 per month with effect from 1st Jan 2022. One second. So in this question, this is April. Jan 2022 से this HRA was increased to 7,000. एक ही हुआ. Then he also got an increment of 1,000 per month in his basic salaries with effect from February 2022. तो एक Feb में what happened? Salary बढ़ गया, basic salary. Okay. Then rent paid by him during the previous year 21-22 is as under. April to May के लिए he has not paid any rent. So these 2 months there is no rent. He was living with his own parents. June, so from June to October, the rent is 6,000 per month and Ghaziabad location. And then from November to December, so November to March itself, the rent is, 8,000 per month. So I told you there are 4 factors which depends on the calculation of HRA. One is rent, one is basic salary or dearness allowance if any of those things changes, one is HRA, and one is the area of accommodation, right? So whenever all these factors changes, you have to calculate your HRA exemption for those specific periods. So for April to May would be my first period. क्योंकि these two period में the things remain constant. The constant period would be one part. So April to May would be my first period. इसमें HRA exemption would be 0 because there was no rent. Then what changed? June, July, August, September, October, everything. Then in these 3 periods, things remain constant. So June to October would be my another period of HRA exemption. इसमें मैं June, July, August, September, October 5 months के according I'll do all the calculation. This is 2 months. Then coming from November to December, again 2 months are constant because January में क्या change हो रहा है? HRA. So again I'll do calculation for these 2 months. And then we'll come to January because February mein again things are changing. So January mein again calculation of HRA exemption for 1 month, and then March mein calculation for 2 months. So 2 plus 1 plus 2 5, 5 plus 2 10, and 10 plus 2 12 months ka calculation would be divided like this. HRA exemption of all these periods in aggregate would be my total HRA exemption from the whole year. You need me to solve this now, need more, or this understanding is clear? Okay, Prajwal says, ma'am, for HRA calculation, salary is considered as due basis or due or receipt basis, whichever is earlier. Whatever salary is getting taxable for that period is considered for HRA calculation. Okay, I'm so sorry. Why this is not visible? So sorry, students. Quickly, April to May, then things changed from June, which is your accommodation, you moved to Ghaziabad. June to October, everything was constant. Then things changed from November onwards because he moved to Delhi. So November to March, he was in Delhi. But in this November to March period, January mein his HRA got increased and February mein his salary got increased. So my calculation period would be April to May for HRA exemption, then June to October, because इसमें everything is constant, nothing has changed. Then November to January, because November to December, because January may again HRA has changed, then only January, because February may again salary has changed, and then February, March. The periods in which nothing is changing would be taken as one period. Now try solving it again. Basic salary per month, हर एक का लोगे only for those period, 2 months, 5 months, 2 months, 1 month, and 2 months, and then उसी के हिसाब से you will make the calculation. Lowest of them would be your exemption, and then you will calculate the taxable HRA. ऐसे taxable HRA मत निकाल के aggregate the exemptions and then deduct it from the total taxable HRA. You can do that way also. Try solving it. I'll give you 5 minutes to solve. Why I'm saying try solving it yourself? Because then only you'll know where are you stuck in. Everyone who had a doubt on this, please try solving the question. What is the relevance of section 115 BAC here? I will tell you at the later stage, because now if I tell you, you people will get confused. It's a taxability section. We'll do it later. So meanwhile, other people are solving the question. If salaries paid tax, do employer need to pay tax again on it? No, the government is just want a tax on salary. If not the employee, but the employer is paying on behalf of employee, that's okay. Government को दिखेगा this has been taken up from the pocket of the employee, but that is an arrangement between the employer and employee. And just that one thing has to be noted, that whatever tax is borne by the employer, would be taxed as perquisite in the hands of employee. ठीक है, आपको दो बार टैक्स नहीं देना. But yes, the calculation would be expurgated. Abhi at your level, you can just understand that tax borne by employer on behalf of employee is perquisites in the hands of employee. Perquisites, Sandeep. Allowances and perquisites में difference क्या है? Allowances are paid, decided, and they have a value defined to it, and they are generally credited in monetary terms. Perquisites are benefits. Perquisites are benefits in cash or in kind, which again we see as the chapter flows. Allowance is fixed that आपको मिलेगा ये in relation to your basic salary. Perquisites का हम value निकालते हैं as per the rules. So without taking much time of the class, because I hope everyone is clear. Just 1 second. Please explain point A in this question. 4.114. Which point? Rafiq, which point are you mentioning to? HRA उसने दो महीने, 5 महीने, 2 महीने, 1 महीने और 2 महीने करके निकाला ना टैक्स HRA. Sure. Very good, Ria. Very good, Navneet. Now let's go back to our class. So we begin our class today with retirement benefits. Now, what are these retirement benefits or profit and use of salaries? All of these will be covered today. See, students, people work in an organization for a long period of times. Their loyalty matters, their services matters. So in honor to that services, government by various acts and the employers themselves takes on them to appreciate them back by providing certain benefits. So one is gratuity. Gratuity is like an appreciation token or appreciation payment made by the employer to the employee for the services which he has rendered over the years. So gratuity is gracious. हम कहते हैं gratitude है, right? We are thankful. So gratitude से the word gratuity has came, where we say as an employer we give certain sum of money to the employee for in appreciation of the period of services rendered. Generally, gratuity is given after you retire or after you leave that organization. Companies ka criteria generally is that the gratuity would be paid once the 5-year period is over. Continuous 5-year period is over. Now, but हम यहाँ पे we are understanding the taxability. Taxability understand करने के लिए we have to think that we are receiving the gratuity. We are receiving the gratuity. So what is the taxability of gratuity when we receive it? So gratuity generally I told you is received once the employment is over, in the sense either you retire or you leave the organization after a certain period of time. But gratuity, if received in special circumstances during the period of service, it is fully taxable. What did I say? If you receive gratuity during the period of service, आपने job भी छोड़ा, 5 years हो गए और company ने बोला who all would be completing 5 years, उसी time हम उनको gratuity दे देंगे. You're not leaving the job. So whatever you receive during the service, it is fully taxable. But what you receive after the service, it has certain exemptions. Exemption कहाँ given होती है? हमेशा section 10 में. So there are certain exemption when you receive gratuity on retirement or on leaving the organization. So it is fully exempt if gratuity is received by the members of defense services or central government or state government employees. So government employees को मिले या by the members of defense services को मिले, it is fully exempt under section 1010. So non-government employees के लिए it is partially exempt. Just like HRA was partially exempt, वैसे ही gratuity is partially exempt for non-government employees. So again, gratuity during the service fully taxable. So gratuity अगर मिला during the service, what you will do? आप वो जो salary का calculation कर रहे थे, sorry, which you begin by basic salary, fully taxable. जितना भी अमाउंट आया सब इधर लिख दिया. DNS allowance, जितना भी अमाउंट received, fully here written. HRA allowance, जितना भी अमाउंट received, less exemption if any. Taxable amount. Now gratuity के भी केस में, if received during the year, fully taxable. If received during the service, fully taxable. If received after the service, then non-government employees के लिए, you will write it here, less exemption as per 1010, which we'll see, and then it would be taxable. So, okay. Now gratuity for non-government employees. क्या exemption criteria है? How do we calculate the exemption. Again, something similar to 3 criteria, take the minimum amount. So, इसमें non-government employees में भी there are two things. One is for the employees who are covered under Payment of Gratuity Act. You must have studied in your law this Payment of Gratuity Act, which is applicable to certain entities, right? Payment of Gratuity Act का limit क्या है? When on an organization Payment of Gratuity Act is applicable? Quickly, let me see how many of you remember it. Priyadarshini, is the screen available now? Payment of Gratuity Act 1972. कौन सी एंटिटीज पे एप्लीकेबल होता है स्टूडेंट्स? $20 lakh is the limit, but Acha, you people did not study. So Payment of Gratuity Act basically is applicable to every factory, establishments, every factory, establishments where there are more than 10 permanent employees. So उसपे Gratuity Act लग जाता है. Every year the employer basically deposit on actuarial calculation 15 days की calculation पे he deposits the amount so that जब वो बंदा retire हो या organization छोड़े, when the person leaves the organization or gets retired, at the same time he will give that amount. So he's slowly transferring an amount into the gratuity fund, and once that person leaves from that gratuity funds, he gives him the amount. Okay, so this is what as per Gratuity Act is. So generally in organization which there are two parts of calculating the exemption for the two parts of how you will calculate the exemption for the employees who are non-government. One is if an employee is covered under Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, it would be written in the question, or if the employer is not covered under the Payment of Gratuity Act 1972. So we'll understand it one by one. It is simple. I'll say non-government employees के लिए it is partially exempt. उसमें भी there are two criteria, two different categories. One category is for the employees who are covered under the Payment of Gratuity Act, and for the employees who are not covered under the Payment of Gratuity Act. How will we get to know if they are covered or not? It would be clearly mentioned in the question. If not mentioned, you will take your assumption and solve the question. Okay. So now we'll calculate the exemptions. Number one, for the employees who are covered under the Payments of Gratuity Act. So इसके लिए exemptions के लिए we have three criteria. Again, and इसमें से again minimum of that would be exempted. First is 20 lakhs. Second is gratuity actually received. Ma'am, it was easy है, कुछ calculate ही नहीं करना. No. Third exemption criteria is, I'm writing it, 15 days salary based on the last drawn salary for each completed years of service. For each completed years of 6 services, or part of the year if it exceeds 6 months. पहला तो 20 lakh criteria is simple. Second is gratuity actually received is very simple. 15 days salary for each year of services. Actually क्या होता है, as per payment of gratuity act, आपको हर साल की 15 दिन की सैलरी, हर साल की 15 दिन की सैलरी मिलती है ग्रेशियस पेमेंट और ग्रेचुटी पेमेंट. ठीक है, सो दैट इज हियर द एग्जेम्पशन क्राइटेरिया. व्हाट डिड आई से? Every year 15 days का salary is your gracious or gratuity payment, and that is the exemption criteria. अब मैम how will we calculate the 15 day salary? Salary आपको जो यहाँ पे दिया होता है is the monthly salary. Salary which is given to you in question is a monthly salary. So how will you calculate 15 days का salary? 15 days के हिसाब से कैलकुलेट करना है मंथ्स का सैलरी. सिंपल यूनिटरी मेथड, डिवाइड बाय नंबर ऑफ डेज इन अ मंथ. बट यहाँ पे नंबर ऑफ डेज इन अ मंथ यू विल टेक 26 इंस्टेड ऑफ 30. सो 15 डेज सैलरी वुड बी कैलकुलेटेड बाय हाउ? You are given monthly salary in the question, right? So monthly salary को 15 days salary में you'll convert by dividing into 26 and multiplying it to 15. Then into number of years of services. So if you have completed 20 years, so then 15 by 26 into monthly salary, 15 days ka salary into 20 years. That means every year 15 days ka salary is your gratuity payment in accumulation. Ma'am, if you have completed 20 years, 4 months, then also 20 years. Ma'am, if you have completed 20 years, 8 months, 20 years, 8 months, then it would be taken as 21 years. It would be taken as 21 years, which I just said. I'll repeat it again. Salary for each completed year of service or part thereof in excess of 6 months. So, jahan pe year is, your service year is 20, service year is number of years plus some months which are less than 6 or equal to 6. Then it would be that year. If even a single day has increased from 6 months, then it would be the next calculation. So round off हो जाएगा वो next year को. Again in Hindi language, अगर आपका 20 years 6 months भी हुआ है, it would be considered as 20 years. But the moment your service increased 1 day by 6 months, then it would be considered or rounded off to 21 years. So it's for an example 30 years 2 months, 30 years, 30 years 7 months, 31 years. Out of this, whatever comes would be your exemption. Whichever lower would come would be your exemption. But again, here's which salary is to be taken. The question comes, which salary is to be taken here? So here, salary is very simple. Basic salary plus dearness allowance, pura. Complete dearness allowance would be your salary for the purpose of calculating this 15 days salary. And please do a question, don't worry, we'll obviously do it. But did you understand exemption kaise nikalna hai? 20 lakhs, gratuity actually received 15 days salary into each completed year of service. 15 days salary would be calculated how? Monthly salary is given, so 15 by 26 into number month, so 15 days ka salary aa jayega. And then multiply it by the completed number of years. 6 months से ऊपर हुआ, so take it to the next year. Salary क्या होगा? Basic salary plus dearness allowance for the purpose of calculating this exemption. So this brings me to a question. Ravi retired on 15 June 2021 after completion of 26 years, 8 months of service and received gratuity of 15 lakhs. At the time of retirement, his salary was 50,000 per month. Dearness allowance 10,000 per month, 60% of which is for retirement benefits. Commission 1% of turnover. Turnover in the last 12 months was 1 crore 20 lakhs. Bonus 25,000 per month. He is a private sector employee and covered by the Payment of Gratuity Act. So how will you compute the taxability of gratuity? Question जो बोलेगा आपको हमेशा वो करना है. Do not compute full salary in this question because they have already asked you the taxable gratuity. So let's do it. So my taxable gratuity here would be obviously the gratuity received is 15 lakhs. Now let's calculate the exemption. A case 20 lakhs. Next is gratuity actually received, very simple. Next is 15 days salary. Salary is 50,000 plus 10,000 or 50,000 plus 10,000 into number of years of service. Number of years would be 26 years into 8 months. 26 years and 8 months. Isko calculate kara, we get 9,03,4,615, which I'm obviously seeing. So my lowest amount is, out of these three, obviously 9,34,615. So my taxable gratuity would be, after reducing this amount, which would be in this case 5,65,385. Clear? "26 days Sai, it is given as per your gratuity act, that's why. Because 4 days they assume कि Sundays को off होता है. Yes, Vivek, if gratuity is received during the employment, whether he is a government employee or a defense service employee or a non-government employee, it would be fully taxable. Now I try to explain in English only, just for a summary part, I just give a gist in Hindi. Ria, how will you remember all these criteria? This is the trick. That's why I'm saying you start making small notes in a tabular form so that you can revisit it. Abhi, it is first time. When you will do this chapter for the second or third or the fourth time, it would be a cake for you. First time, hey, take your time and solve the questions. That's very natural. "26 days in the month are taken as per Gratuity Act. Why? Because they assume that you work 26 days in a month instead of 30 because 4 Sundays come. Clear? Chalo. Now we move to the employees who are not covered under the Gratuity Act. So for the employees who are not covered under the Gratuity Act, the exemption is also calculated on similar basis. One limit is obviously 20 lakhs. Another limit for exemption is gratuity actually received. And third limit is thoda sa tricky. Please take it, listen here. Third limit is half month salary for each completed year. Or isme we will not round off the year. Even if it is 20 years, 11 months and 20 days, then also we will take 20 years. So no rounding off. Number one. उसमें 15 days salary रहते थे, which is like half month only, right? इसमें actual half month salary लेना है. So we have to take half month salary for completed year of services for the employees who are not covered under the Gratuity Act. So no rounding off. That is clear. And how is this half month salary has to be calculated? Because months given hai, monthly salary is given. So let's divide it by half. You will get half month salary. No, you do not have to do it because it is not that easy. Half month salary has to be calculated based on half month salary lena hai, but average monthly salary lena hai. So average monthly salary divide by 2 into completed year of service. Ma'am, average monthly salary, how is that to be calculated? How is this average is to be calculated? Average is what? Sum of observation divided by number of observation. You know this, right? Sum of observation divided by number of observation. So ma'am, how we have to calculate this average monthly salary? Average has to be taken for 10 months. So if I'm taking average for 10 months, I have to take salary for 10 months. So if you are getting retired on 30th of June 2021, so 10 months before the retirement month, 10 months before the retirement month, that is till May 31st. So go back April, March, Feb, Jan, 10 months till 31st May would be 5 and 5 from July, right? So July to 31st May का salary लोगे 10 months का salary, total 10 months का salary divide by 10, you will get average monthly salary. इसका half 10 months का salary का average divide by 2 multiplied by completed year of service would be my third exemption criteria. Again, I'll say, let's go back step by step. Half month salary into completed year of service. Half month salary into completed year of service. Now you say, ma'am, half month salary is easily calculated. We know the monthly salary divided by 2. No, month salary here means average monthly salary. Now, average monthly salary is to be calculated how? Taking the average of 10 months salary for the months immediately preceding the retirement month. For the months immediately preceding the retirement months. That you calculate, divide by 2 would be your half month average salary into completed year of services. Completed year of services, even if it is 20 years, 11 months and 29 days also, then also it would be 20 years calculated. Lower of 3 would be your exemption criteria. Interesting part, salary here is same which you took in HRA. HRA में जो salary calculation का base था वही यहाँ पे है. What was that? Basic salary, dearness allowance of retirement benefits and percentage commission and percentage commission. How do you solve it? Let's go back to the question. So on the same question, just 1 second. Anyway, yeah. So on the same question, we'll now calculate the third criteria for the employees who are not covered under the Payment of Gratuity Act. Not covered under the Payment of Gratuity Act, step by step, students, it is easy. Just you need time to sink in. Do not worry, okay? What are the three criteria? 20 lakhs, 15 lakh gratuity which is received. Now we come to calculating your half month average salary. He retired on 15 June 2021. So immediately preceding month would be till your May period. So इसमें simply you calculate 50,000 into 10 plus 10,000 का 60% into 10. Why I told you that period? Just in case the salary changes, then you have to be careful. Okay. Plus turnover 1 crore 20 lakhs का 1% into 10. Let's do it. हमारा criteria is half average monthly salary. Pehले this you write. Then open the brackets. Okay. Half एवरेज मंथ का 10 मंथ्स का लेना है, राइट? 10 मंथ्स का सैलरी लेना है. सैलरी में क्या क्या आएगा? 50,000 का आपका बेसिक, 50,000 into 10 plus retirement benefit वाला dearness allowance, which is 10,000 का 60% into 10, right? Plus commission for 10 months, which would be 1% of 1.2 crores. Into 10, right? ये टोटल हुआ 10 मंथ्स का सैलरी, डिवाइड बाय 10 करोगे तो एवरेज सैलरी आ जाएगा. दिस इज माय टोटल 10 मंथ्स सैलरी, डिवाइड बाय 10 would be average salary. 10 months salary for the purpose of gratuity, exemption for the employees who are not covered under the Payment of Gratuity Act. So half into this, now calculated, this would come as quickly tell me, this would come as 33,000 would be my half month salary, correct? 33,000 would be my half month salary into completed number of years of services, which is 26 years, 8 months. So कितने से multiply करोगे? Only 26 years, because this is for the employees who are not covered under the Gratuity Act, and hence it would come as 8,58,000. My third exemption criteria. So 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs, and 8,58,000. Obviously, this is the lowest. So my taxable gratuity would be 15 lakhs minus 8,58,000. And third part of the question was, for an employee who is a government employee, nothing would be taxable because it is received after completion of service. Take your time, go through it, then only we'll proceed forward. Again, gratuity received during the service is taxable for all. Gratuity received after the services is exempt for government employees and defense services employees, but taxable to an extent for non-government employees. Taxable to an extent for non-government employees with two parts: covered under Gratuity Act, not covered under Gratuity Act. The employees who are covered under Gratuity Act, simple criteria: 20 lakhs gratuity actually received, and 15 days salaries based on the last drawn salary for each completed year of service or part of thereof in excess of 6 months. So 15 by 26 करके you'll get month का salary into number of years. और अगर वो 6 months से ज्यादा है, then you will round it off to the next year. Salary here is very different. Basic salary plus dearness allowance पूरा. For the employees not covered under the Payment of Gratuity Act, the first two criteria remain same, but third criteria is half month salary. Now half month salary is half month salary into completed year of services. Rounded off has to be ignored. But half month salary is calculated on average salary, half average monthly salary, and that average monthly salary is taken for 10 average months. Salary here is same as your HRA wala salary. Generally, in all the coming parts also where we'll see this salary is used. Just for Gratuity Act, this wala salary is specific, and one is for RFA. Otherwise, all the salary for calculation of exemptions is this. One more thing, students, remember this 20 lakhs limit of exemption is my lifetime limit, What is lifetime limit, ma'am? I'll tell you. So I worked in an organization for 7 years. Okay, please listen carefully. I worked in an organization for 7 years. I received gratuity of 10 lakhs, okay, initially, and usme se 5 lakhs was exempted because of those calculation, or say 6 lakhs was exempted. So my gratuity taxable was 4 lakhs. Now I worked for another 10 years. Next story. ठीक है, I received a gratuity of 25 lakhs, for example. I received a gratuity of 25 lakhs. I had three limits. One was 20 lakhs, one was actually gratuity received. And as per my 15-day salaries, it was coming to, let's say, 18 lakhs. The three exemption criteria was this. Now you will say, ma'am, obviously 18 lakhs would be your exemption amount, right? And you will say the 7 lakhs would be taxable. Correct? You will say this, but I'll say no. Why? Because as per one thing I have been told, as per the Income Tax Act, that 20 lakhs is the maximum exemption which you can take on gratuity over your lifetime. And I have already taken 6 lakhs. So when I'm receiving gratuity for the next time, the maximum exemption which I can take would be 14 lakhs, would be restricted to 14 lakhs or the amount of exemption, whichever is less. So I cannot take 20, I will only be able to take 14 lakhs in exemption, and hence 9 lakhs would be my taxable gratuity. I'll repeat again, 20 lakhs exemption I'm talking about, which I will be taking during the lifetime, should be the maximum exemption. जितना भी exemption मैंने पहले लिया है, whatever exemption I've taken before would be reduced from my maximum lifetime limit, would be reduced from my maximum lifetime limit, which is of 20 lakhs, and then I'll be eligible to take only the balance exemption. So here, instead of 20, my available limit would be 14, because 6 already has been taken. So 14, 25, 18 में से which is lower? 14 lakhs. So that would be my exemption. Clear? This happens when you take exemption after certain years again, when you retire again, or when you leave the organization again. Now I'll take up quickly your question. Sorry, Ria, July to May nahi, August to May. Sorry. One second. इस क्वेश्चन में I have to obviously divide by 12. अभी 12 months का आएगा. This is annual turnover. This question may have to divide by 12, then only it would come for 12 months. Thank you, Rekha. Very good, Sunil. Ria, what is the question? Ma'am, why in employees covered basic plus full DA is taken? Because this is as per your Income Tax Act. They say Gratuity Act में भी वो आपका basic and DNS allowance का ही exact 15 days का salary वो fund में डालते हैं. That's why Income Tax has also taken the same thing. Thank you, Nidhi, for pointing out 10 by 12. Then we have Bhavna, I hope your question is answered. Yes, Mansha, the limit of this 20 lakhs is a lifetime limit for any employee, whether covered under Gratuity Act or not covered under Gratuity Act. If the employee joins the same job after retirement, then he get exemption again. Yes, if after retirement happens at the age of 58. Again, if you're joining in, this is a very absurd case, but again, if you're joining in and again you're doing a service of 5 years and then they are paying you the gratuity again, yes, you can claim the exemption, but to the limit of 20 lakhs. So, Dia, in this question, 7 years. 1 second. 7 years, एक जगह काम किया. Then I left the job and then I worked in some other organization for 10 years. So whatever exemption I've received earlier would be reduced by this 20 lakhs limit. The maximum exemption which I will receive here would not be 20, but what I have received earlier minus that 20. Because everything has to be everything has to be calculated for 10 months. So even the commission is calculated for 10 months. There is no certain logic. 10 months is considered as a period for average salary. Gratuity received after service for non-government employees is exempt. So Renuka asked, ma'am, if a person is covered under the Act, which is Payment of Gratuity Act, and the service is 12 years, 5 months, then how much years will take? 12 years, not 13 years, because 6 months se upar jab hoga, then you will round it off to the next year. Ayushi says, ma'am, taxable here was only 4 lakhs, then why 6 lakhs? Ayushi, taxable was 4 lakhs, but the exemption you have consumed is 6 lakhs. The benefit which is given to you, the government has said you have 20 lakhs exemption, more than 20 lakhs, more than 20 lakhs you cannot take the exemption. So 6 lakhs you have already consumed. Now remaining only you can take the exemption in the coming gratuity segment if you receive any. So the government says the maximum amount which you can take as exemption is 20. But again, 6 you have already used. 6 you have already used. So bacha kitna? 14. How much is left? 14. Bonus is not included in salary for the purpose of calculation of exemption. I'm again saying, students, all these things, do not get confused. You will obviously make this taxable. You will make this taxable. This is also fully taxable. This is also fully taxable. This is also fully taxable. But the point is, for the purpose of exemption, what all salary you have to be taking is different criteria. For each exemption, different salary has to be taken for computing that exemption only. Nothing else. We are not talking about the taxabilities of these components. We are only talking about the taxability of that particular allowance or that particular gratuity benefit basis a certain salary. So salary calculation को वो impact करेगा नहीं. Only the exemption calculation को that would be impacted. Let's proceed to another part. Yes, Prajwal, more retirement can be allowed. That is totally different thing. Ashish, 26 years and 6 months exact. Then also 26 years and 6.5 months, then 27 years for the employees who are covered under Gratuity Act. Because the Act ka language says anything in excess of 6 months would be taken as completed year. If I, again, Simple rounding off, guys. Jahan anything above 6 months, even a day, then it would be taken as complete year. Don't worry, slowly. Obviously, this is the first time I believe many of you are understanding this concept, and these are a lot of concepts, but slowly you will come to the hold of it. But do not ratify anything. Obviously, you have to remember the limit, but remember the concept. Why are we calculating the exemption? How much exemption is allowed? What is the criteria of exemption? All of those things. Okay? Now we move ahead to another part, which is annuity or exemption. So for the next 10 minutes, you're going to have a very good time understanding this. I hope so. So annuities or pension, sorry. Annuity क्या होता है? If again students financially, you'll obviously get stronger. Annuity is something, annuity or pension is something which you receive after a certain period of time, but in a form of regular payment. You deposit. LIC plans में there are annuity. You deposit a sum, and then certain sums start coming to you back. Certain sum come to you back after a certain period of time, and that comes in a small annual installments. From that word annuity is calculated. From that word annuity came up. Annual installments को annuity से it came up. So annuity is yearly grant received on investment of some money, which is equal annual sums. So if received by present employer, taxable as salary. If received from past employer, taxable as profit in lieu of salary. If received from any other person, then it would be income from other sources. Whenever you make certain investment and you receive a sum in relation to it annually after a certain period of time, that is annuity. If you are receiving it from the employer, the moment I told you at the first class itself, employer say anything received as an employer-employee relationship is your salary. But now you say I'm no more an employer, but you're receiving it after you from your past employer, but you were receiving it because of that employer-employee relationship, profit in your salary. You're receiving it from LIC, who is not your employer, an annuity payment, then it is your other sources income. Clear? Now we come to understand our next part, which is important. This is very basic. Next part is pension. Pension क्या होता है students? Pension again one of a very common retirement benefit. Generally government employees get periodic payment in consideration of past services payable after retirement. You must have heard in or out in movies or in anywhere that he is receiving pension or he is surviving on pension post retirement. So what happens? You leave a job, you get gratuity. Gratuity is a lump sum payment which you receive. Pension is something which they credit in your account monthly 5,000, monthly 10,000, which you are receiving. Okay? This is called the amount of pension which you are receiving post retirement is called uncommuted pension. Uncommuted pension which you receive monthly. Uncommuted pension which a person receives monthly post retirement. So every month 5,000 is getting credited, every month 10,000 is getting credited. So what is the taxability now and where it is taxable? Two things. It would be taxable under the head salary. Ma'am, why it would be taxable under an employee of any organization and you are receiving pension? It is because of what? Because of the services which you did. Because of that employer-employee relationship, always it would become part of your salary. Even if you are out of India receiving pension, then also it would be a salary taxable in India because it is received of the services rendered in India. All the concepts which we studied in the first class now aggregated to the concept of pension, and that's why it is clear that why it is termed as or taxable under the head salary. Clear? So uncommuted pension, which you what is that? Pension which you receive monthly in your account, and hence it is the part of salary. Clear? one thing. दूसरा, taxability. How much would be taxable? Even if you're a government employee or non-government employee, or non-government employee, your pension which you receive uncommuted is fully taxable. Fully taxable. Clear? Now what happens, student? Generally, people with this retirement pay, they need fund. Once you are getting gratuity, student gets employee have an option to commute the pension. Commute the pension means to take the lump sum pension at one go. To take a certain lump sum pension at one go. If I say, and this is all based on actuarial, you do not have to calculate how much is the lump sum. 5,000 per month I will receive pension till a certain period of time, till the time I do not die, and once I die, my wife or the spouse will receive the pension, right? This is the concept. But I asked my employer, okay, you give me 5,000 per month. Instead of 5,000, I'll take 3,000 per month. Rest give me as lump sum. So basically, he chose 60% I would receive later, 40% का commute कर दो, 40% का commute कर दो. So they gave me a lump sum of, say, 4 lakhs rupees. They give me a lump sum of 4 lakhs rupees, which is 40% commuted. यहाँ पे लिखा होगा 40% commuted, यानी आपने टोटल पेंशन में से 40% को lump sum बना लिया. टोटल पेंशन में से 40% has been considered as lump sum pension. That means how much is my total pension? 4 lakh is my 40% commuted pension. Then how much is my lump sum pension? 10 lakhs. How, ma'am? 4 lakh divided by 40%. Again, unitary method. If 40% of X is 4 lakhs, then how much is X? 10 lakhs. So 10 lakhs is my total pension, right? 10 lakhs was my total pension, which as per calculation was divided into 5,000 per month. But now I choose to commute 40% of it, and I will get 4 lakhs, and 3,000 per month would be uncommuted, which I will receive on monthly intervals. Again, let me explain you. This is nothing in relation to taxability now. This is what happens in real life. I was entitled to 5,000 per month pension. Okay, this is calculated again on actuarial basis. Fine. I said that I want to commute my pension. Give me 40% of that as lump sum. Okay, so they gave me 4 lakh rupees. So 4 lakh is 40% of what? My total pension, which I was supposed to be receiving. So my total pension is how much? 10 lakhs. This is clear? So I have commuted 40% of my pension, which is 4 lakhs. And now the remaining 6 lakhs would come in the form of annuity or annual payment or monthly payments, which would be 3,000 per month. Clear? So अब क्या होगा? 3,000 per month would be uncommuted. This would be uncommuted and fully taxable, right? What about this 4 lakh? What about this 4 lakh, the pension which got commuted? What about this 4 lakh with the pension which got commuted? Again, I'll say uncommuted pension, uncommuted pension, fully taxable. Commuted pension, commuted pension का क्या होगा? What will happen to the commuted pension? Commuted pension is partially taxable. Commuted pension is partially taxable. So commuted pension for government employees, commuted pension for government employee is not taxable. Commuted pension for non-government employees partially taxable. Partial taxable again depends upon two things. If you have received gratuity and if you have not received gratuity. If you have received gratuity and if you have not received gratuity. So if you have received gratuity, then 1/3 if you have received gratuity, then 1/3 of total pension, not the computed pension, of total pension would be exempt. If you have not received gratuity, then half of total pension would be exempt. So if I come to my previous question, my previous example, jahan pe he commuted 4 lakh rupees. He has commuted 4 lakh rupees. Right? Total was 10 lakhs. Right? Total pension was 10 lakhs. He has commuted 4 lakhs rupees. Total pension was 10 lakhs. So, and he is receiving gratuity also. So 1/3 of the total pension would be exempt. So 1/3 of 10 lakhs would be 3,33,333. That would be exempt, and 67,000 somewhere approx would be taxable. Here 5 lakhs is the exemption amount, but gratuity commuted is only 4 lakhs, so nothing would be taxable. Again, and dusra 3,000 per month which he would be receiving. 3,000 per month which he would be receiving uncommuted would also be taxable. Again, ma'am, please do it again, obviously. Pension uncommuted fully taxable in both government and non-government employees. ये तो समझ आ गया. Monthly pension which you are receiving is fully taxable. Clear? Commuted pension is what you had to receive in future, you are converting it in lump sum today. What you have to receive in future in monthly amounts, you are converting into lump sum today. That is fully exempt for central government, state government and local authority employees. For central government, state government and local authority employees. But for non-government employees, exemption is provided. For non-government employees, exemption is provided. If maybe there are two parts. If you are receiving gratuity and if you are not receiving gratuity. What do you mean by that? Retirement pay, if you are getting gratuity along with pension, or if you are not getting gratuity along with pension. If you are getting gratuity along with pension, then 1/3 of the total pension, just 4 lakhs ka humne 10 lakhs nikala tha, remember? 1/3 of that total pension would be my exemption amount. And how do you calculate total pension? Unknown upon me known. You know 40% of X has been computed, so 4 lakh ka 40% here. Okay. And if you're not receiving any gratuity, then exemption is bit higher. Instead of 1/3, you get half because you're not receiving any other benefit. So half of the total pension would be exemption. Ma'am, please do a question. Yes. And then I will put your queries on it. Mr. Sagar, who retired on 1st October 2021, is receiving 5,000 per month as pension. On 1st Feb, he commuted 60% of his pension and received 3 lakh as commuted pension. You are required to compute his taxable pension, assuming he's a government employee. He's a private sector employee receiving gratuity of 5 lakhs, and he's a private sector employee and did not receive a gratuity. Let's do it step by step. Pehla, he is receiving 5,000 per month and he's a government employee. What all are the figures? First, we'll write the figures. We have we are being told that his monthly pension is 5,000 per month, right? But after a certain period, he commuted it and commuted 60% of it and received 3 lakhs. So my total pension would be 3 lakhs divided by 60%. Five lakhs, right? This we calculated separately. ठीक है, total pension निकाल लिया, 60% निकाल लिया, and obviously once he commute 60%, then going forward he would be receiving only 5,000 का 40%, which is 2,000 per month as pension from a certain period of time. Again, I have not done any taxability. I've just written the figures. 5,000 per month he was getting, but he commuted 60% and got 3 lakhs. So what all figures I calculated self with the figures which I were given in the question. One, I calculated the total pension. 3 lakh by 60%, 5 lakh. Clear? Then I calculated the remaining monthly pension which he would be receiving. Since he has commuted 60%, so he will be receiving only 40% uncommuted, correct? Now we come to the taxability. We are being told that in option A, the person is government employee. The person is government employee. Government employee के लिए this commuted pension is not taxable. Correct? Only uncommuted pension is taxable. He is receiving 5,000 for how many months? He retired on 1st October. So October, November, December, January. 4 months के लिए 5,000 and February and March, May, 2 months के लिए he'll get 2,000. So his salary component which would be taxable and the pension component which would be taxable under salary would be 20 plus 4, 24,000. Is it clear? Now we are being told that this person is a private employee but is receiving gratuity. So ये part तो is common, right? Uncommuted pension is common. This is how the taxability would come. But for commuted pension, since he is receiving gratuity, the taxable commuted pension would be 3 lakhs minus exemption. And how much is the exemption amount? Exemption is he's receiving gratuity, so 1/3 of the total pension, 1/3 of 5 lakhs would be 1 lakh. 1,66,667. So the taxable commuted pension is 1,33,333. Now, if this person is not receiving any gratuity, then the exemption is a bit higher. You get, so instead of 1/3, you get half exemption. So half of 5 lakh would be exempted, half of 5 lakh would be exempted, and 2,50,000 would be exemption. So out of 3 lakhs, only 50,000 would be taxable. Clear? Go through the question. Take it easy. कुछ difficult नहीं है. Just is that there are so many small components which will obviously take time to absorb. Millie, is it clear? Can someone commute 100% of exemption? Bhavna, very rare it happens, but yes, 100% of pension, yes, they can. हाँ, वो पहले वाला एग्जाम्पल में एक्चुअली 40% होना चाहिए 5,000 का इंस्टेड ऑफ आई जस्ट रैंडमली टुक 3,000 दैट इज ओके. Pension is the easiest. I find pension is the easier. But again, यहाँ पे if you will see in the module, it would be written commuted pension received by percentage of commutation. That is nothing but they're calculating the total pension. Okay. So with this, I'll leave you for a 10 minutes break. In fact, we'll quickly join by 8:25 because we have lots of topic to cover. And we'll start with leave encashment. Take yourself a break, give it a read, eat something, and get back. Thank you. So welcome back after the break. I hope the concepts are clear. Ashish asks, what is benefit, commuted or uncommuted? It's all about what are you planning post requirements. That is not about commuting and uncommuting. A person can commute more than one time. Yes, he can commute more than one time, depending upon what the policies they have for the pension. He can commute immediately on retirement, say 40-50%, and then after a certain period of time, he can commute the remaining. That is totally okay. So now we can come to another very interesting concept, which is called leave encashment. Leave encashment, leave salaries, whatever you call it as. Let's begin. Students, leave encashment का फंडा क्या होता है? पहले let's understand that. Every organization, I'm talking about private, government, non-government, has a thing called leave policy. They give you an entitlement of leaves. There are multiple types of leaves. One is casual leaves, one is earned leaves or personal leaves. This is not related to taxability. This is just a funda which I'm trying to explain. Casual leaves are given which get lapsed every year. Earned leave means that you have earned that leave. Just like bond will, you earn these leaves basis your services. If you are continuously working on the service, then you earn those leaves. You earn those non-salary deductible leaves. That means if you take that leaves, no salary would be deducted, and every year the balance leaves are carry forwarded. Some organization gives 1.5 months leaves per month. So basically 15 leaves in an year you earn. And if you take 3, so how many are left? 12 are left, then 12 are carry forwarded. Then in the next year, again, you will get 15 plus 12, 27. You suppose you took 10 leaves, 17 are left, then 17 are carry forwarded. So by the time you leave the organization or your retirement period, whichever is earlier, obviously, comes, the balance leaves, the leaves which are there as balance after carry forwarding and after so many years, and after availing the leaves, whatever there is balance, they pay you in cash. So if I have 10 days leaves as balance, so they will give me 10 days ka salary. Okay, if I have 25 days leaves in balance, they will give me 25 days ka salary. That is what leave encashment is. Leave ko encash karna. Leave ko encash karna matlab leaves ko cash mein convert karna. Converting the leaves into cash and getting the benefit, the paisa for it, is called leave encashment. Clear? This is the actual practical scenario of it. Now we come to the taxability of it. Students, leave encashment, anything encash during the service is fully taxable. Leave encashment during the service is fully taxable, just like gratuity, just like what uncommuted pension, fully taxable. Government employees, non-government employee does not matter. So leave encashment during the service is fully taxable. Leave encashment on retirement or superannuation or leaving the service, basically for government employee, fully exempt. So you can see government employees, they get so much of benefit. Gratuity is fully exempt on retirement. Commuted pension is fully exempt, and leave encashment is also fully exempt. So all that mota paisa which they are getting is fully exempt. But other employees ke liye, they have partial exemption policy. They have partial exemption policy, and exemption is provided under Section 10, Clause 10AA. Section 10, Clause 10AA. Again, partial exemption, 4 criteria. One is 3 lakhs. Another is leave salary actually received, which is the actual payment. Third is 10 months salary on the basis of average salary for 10 months. मतलब 10 months का average salary निकालो, calculate the average salary for 10 months, just like we calculated for the employees not covered under the Gratuity Act, into 10 कर दो. That is the 10 month salary. So obviously a question will come, then why Calculating average salary when you have to multiply it by 10. No answer. Cash equivalent of unavailed leave. Now this is very interesting. Cash equivalent of unavailed leave, matlab the leaves which are available to you. The leaves which are available to you after carry forwarding, or the total leaves allowed to you minus the leave availed. दोनों मतलब एक ही है. Let me start by taking a question also. Just 1 second. Yeah. Question can come with different languages. One would be balance leaves. Balance leaves after so many years, obviously that would be available in number of days. Suppose 410 days leaves are allowed. 410 ज़्यादा हो गया ना? Let's say 110 days leaves are there as balance, or balance leaves would be given, or it would be given total leaves which were allowed were 400, and he has consumed or availed or taken. Any word can be used, and he has consumed, availed or taken. If I go by this example, 290 days leave, so 110 days is the remaining balance. So 110 days ka leave ka paisa you will receive. 110 days ka leave ka paisa you will receive. So how will you receive? 110 days for, obviously first you will convert it into months. 30 days ka months you will take into, obviously now you have converted this into month. Unitary method say now you have to take monthly salary, right? Now monthly salary, how will you take monthly salary? This monthly salary is also average monthly salary, and that average is same 10 months average salary. 10 months average salary. So what did I do? First, I have just told you two things. Say question can come. Either they can tell you the balance leaves, or they can tell you the actual leaves and availed leaves. Okay? Leaves allowed minus leaves availed, both would come to the balance. Now the balance which you have has to be converted into cash. So the balance leaves are in days. First days would be converted into months by dividing into 30. Months would be multiplied into monthly salary. Now this monthly salary is not 1 month ka salary. This is again the same average monthly salary, and average which is computed on the basis as 10 months. So 10 months average salary nikal diya. Okay, clear? So this is my fourth exemption criteria. One thing, student, you have to remember, irrespective of the company policy, the government says maximum 30 days leave would be allowed. Maximum 30 days leave would be allowed. Meaning thereby, if he was there, forget this exam, or if he was there 15 years, okay, the company policy is to give 20 days leave a year. 20 days leave a year. So 15 into, let me just make it easy. One second, let me make it more practical. Let's assume that this person was there 20 years. And every year 20 days का balance was allowed. So this came as 400. Okay? This was company's policy, so no problem. But if company's policy is to give 35 days a year as leave, 35 days a year as leave. That means 35 days of leave is allowed to you in a year. 35 days of leave is allowed to you in a year. Then how will you calculate this balance? You will say 35 into 20 minus 290. That's what you will be saying. Right? But the Act says the maximum leave allowed would be 30. So if the organization is providing anywhere less than 30 days, we'll take that. But if the organization allows more than 30 days a leave in a year, so to calculate the balance, we'll not take 35 days, we'll calculate it as per 30 days maximum. As per 30 days maximum. So in this case, it would be 30 into 20, which is 600 minus 290. Minus 290. 600 minus 290 would give you 310 का balance leaves. Again, I'll repeat, to calculate, see, agar balance leaves ऐसे दिया हुआ है, then also you have to be very careful, or you have to calculate the balance leaves, then also you have to be very careful. The maximum leaves allowed should not be more than 30 in an year. The maximum leaves allowed should not be more than 30 in an year. If the company policy to calculate maximum leave is less than 30, no problem. But if it is more than 30, then the total leave which is allowed to a person would be taken by calculating 30. So if in this case it was 35, I will not take as per 35, I will take as per 30. I believe there was some screen problem. Oh no. Sorry. I'll repeat it again. Sorry. So the balance leaves, I told you there are two ways to write quickly. So sorry, students. Balance leaves 110 days. If given in the question, no problem. But in most of the cases, you have to calculate the balance leaves to calculate the month, to calculate your fourth exemption. So balance leave is calculated how? Total leaves minus consumed leave. Total leave minus consumed leave, which would be total leave which is allowed in the number of years minus consumed which you have taken in all this year. So total minus consumed 110. Suppose 400 leaves were allowed, consumed to 290, then the balance would be 110. That 110 you will convert into months balance, divide by 30. You will get number of months, multiply into monthly salary. Now monthly salary is same here as the average monthly salary, like the average monthly salary. Average monthly salary कैसे निकाला था? Just like that of Payment of Gratuity Act, 10 months लेना है. But one thing which you have to be careful about is 10 months salary, वहाँ पे we were taking it from the preceding month. Here, immediate till the date of retirement would be the month calculation. Okay. Now, one thing I told you need to remember is the maximum leaves allowed in an year as per government policy is 30 days. If an organization is allowing less than 30 days to calculate the total leaves allowed, you can take that. But if the organization is allowing more than 30 days, then the restriction would be 30. Now, what do you mean? So in this question, the total leave, suppose a person is working for 20 years and 20 days of leave were allowed in a year. So the total leave comes to 20 years into 20 days, 400 minus consumed, balance 110. But if the company was allowing 35 days a leave, 35 days a year a leave, then 35 into 20 minus 290 would come to your unavailed leaves, would come to your unavailed leaves or the leave balance? No. The government says the maximum leaves allowed to calculate the leave balance is 30. So you will do 30 into 20, which is 600 minus 290, 310. Clear? So if the organization provides less than 30 days a leave, then that would be taken to calculate the unavailed leaves. But if the organization provides more than 30 days a leave, then 30 days is the capping. 30 days is the capping for calculating the balance. That balance of unavailed leaves which comes would be divided into months by dividing into 30. Multiplied into monthly salary, and monthly would be same average monthly salary, and then you will calculate your exemption. So we'll do a question quickly on this. Mr. Gupta retired on 1st December 2021 after 20 years of service and received leave salary of 5 lakhs. Other details of salary income are basic salary 5,000, increased with effect 1,000 per month from 1st April 2021. Dearness allowance 3,000, 60% of which is retirement benefits. Commission 500 per month. Bonus 1,000 per month. Ma'am, आपने salary तो बताया नहीं. What is the salary for the purpose of leave encashment? That is, students, just same as HR. I told you कि gratuity for the employees covered under Gratuity Act, but that is different. Otherwise, for everyone except RFA also, the salary definition for calculating exemption is same. Basic salary plus dearness allowance of retirement benefits plus commission based on turnover. Now, we'll calculate the salary, assuming the person is a government employee. The leaves availed during the services for 480 days, and he was entitled to 30 days leave every year. Let's start this question. He's a government employee and he's a non-government employee. If he's a government employee, 5 lakhs rupees received as leave encashment, fully exempt. Fully exempt, nothing is taxable. Now, if he's a non-government employee. So to calculate if he's a non-government employee, first let's calculate the exemption. What are the exemption criteria? First, let's write that down. One is actual leave salary received. Another is the limit of 3 lakhs. Third is 10 months salary. And fourth is leave unavailed salary benefit. And both of these, for calculation of both of these, we need one thing, which is 10 months salary, right? Which is, sorry. And the calculation of these two, we need monthly salary. पहले one thing, monthly salary का मतलब क्या हुआ? Average monthly salary. Average monthly salary means 10 months average monthly salary. First, we'll calculate that. So 10 months average salary has to be calculated like you will take basic salary. Now, basic salary students, he retired on 1st December and salary has increased from 1st April 2021. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 8 months. Okay. 8 months is 5,000 per month, not 6,000, because retirement के time पे salary details are given. So 5,000 per month was for 8 months and 4,000 per month was for other 2 months, right? Clear? Dayness allowance is 3,000 per month, 60% of which is retirement benefits. So 2,400 into not 2,400, 1,800. 1,800 into 10, right? Now for the commission part, will we take commission? No, because it is not based on turnover. It is a fixed commission, so we will not take commission, right? So average monthly salary comes to average monthly salary, quickly calculated. $66,000 divided by 10. My average monthly salary is 6,600. सबका आ गया ये? I hope so. $6,600 आ गया. Now we will calculate our exemptions. Remember, 6,600 is our average monthly salary. Actual leave salary receipt कितना? 5 lakhs. This is 3 lakhs का limit, right? Now 10 months average monthly salary. So 10 months into 6,600. This is my another exemption, which is 66,000. Any doubt anyone has? No. Now this person leave availed during the service 480 days. He has availed the leave of 480 days. Unavailed leave kitna रहेगा? He was allowed 30 days. He was allowed 30 days in a year and he was into service for 20 days. 20 years. 30 into 20 minus 480. 120 days are unavailed leave. Clear? 120 days are unavailed leave. Put out? No. Now, iska 120 days ka paisa we have to give based on monthly salary. So 120 days based on months, first of all, divide by 30, I will get months into 6,600, which was my average salary, right? Average month salary was 6,600. So 120 days divided by 30, which is 40 into 40 months ka paisa we have to give. Sorry, 4 months ka paisa we are giving into 6,600, which comes to 26,400, right? So which is the lowest? On 1, 2, 3, which is the lowest? 26,400. So my taxable leave salary would be 5 lakh minus 26,400, which is 4,73,600. Is it clear? I'm so sorry for the screen move up. Parth, इसमें gratuity में, this is very technical, please try to understand. Gratuity में, if he is retiring on 15th June, so 10 months would calculation reverse would start would be till 31st May. But leave salary में, if he is retiring on 15th June, so 10 months salary calculation would be till 15th June. But at your inter level, it would not be 15th. Simple सा आएगा. He would be retiring on the 1st of the month, so that the last immediate dates which you can take. 20 years 10 months क्यों लेंगे नम्रता इसमें? यहाँ पे the salary is 20 there is clearly written 20 years. Chaitanya, see, यहाँ पे the salary which is the salary information which is given here is on the date of retirement. Is on the date of retirement. That's why this is the increased salary. That is something which is given to confuse and which you have to take care of. Namrata, any doubt? Rakesh, where 1800 into 10 I've been doing? Students, 1 second. देखो, he retired on 1st December 2021 and December 2021 में when he retired तब उसका salary was 5,000. So you have to take 10 months salary just before the date of retirement for leave salary. So 10 months would be till 30th November. ठीक है? And the salary got increased from 1st April 2021. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 8 महीने का is 5,000. The remaining 2 months which is before April, that is February and March, that was 4,000. That was 4,000. So total basic salary would be 48,000 for 10 months. Why 1,000 increment is of no use, Kanish? It is of very much use. Average निकालने के लिए you have to be very careful if the salary is increasing. Unavailed salary more than limit or equal to Rekha, see, unavailed leaves, first of all. Unavailed leave would be obviously the leaves allowed minus leave taken. Yes, it may happen that government is saying you have to only take as per 30 days and you are allowed 35 days and you have already consumed 32 days. So there would be no exemption in that case. 32 days per year, then there would be no exemption. Now we come to a very important concept, Provident Fund. To encourage the idea of savings, government introduced the concept of Provident Fund. क्योंकि क्या है, India में till the time anything is not important, it would not be, anything which is not mandatory by the law would not be considered as important. So government came up with the concept of Provident Fund. Now, Provident Fund, students, kya hai? It's a fund where every month some contribution goes. And after a certain lock-in period, you get the sum of it. Now, let me explain you the fund of Provident Fund. We'll talk about the Common Provident Fund, which is PPF, where you must have heard Public Provident Fund. Anyone, this is a fund, every month you make a contribution to that fund, anywhere above 500, and wahan pe every month you make a contribution. There's a lock-in period of 7 years. Interest gets credited, and after a certain year, when you get the amount withdrawn, you get a heavy amount. Interest is, I think, 8% going on, somewhere around 8%, to get a heavy amount. Okay. Provident, this is called public provident fund, where a person who is not an employee or anyone, even if he's an employee, can make a contribution to this fund. Benefit kya hai? Iska you get a benefit under section 80C. So what all contribution which I am making is an investment that I get a benefit of up to 1,50,000. Okay. Interest which is getting credited is my income. Interest mil raha hai mere investment pe, right? I am getting the interest on the contribution which I am making. So that interest is exempt. It is not taxable. And when I will withdraw the lump sum after a certain period of time, that is also not taxable. This is public provident fund. Okay. Now we come to fund which is maintained by your employer, SPF, RPF, URPF. What happens now? Okay. SPF is generally for government employees or your employees who are into government schools or universities, government institutions, educational institutions. That is called SPF, Statutory Provident Fund. Then we come to other private players, private employers. They have a provident fund, which is RPF, Recognized Provident Fund. How it gets recognized? They set a fund, they get approval of commissioner, it gets recognized. If they do not get an approval of commissioner, it is unrecognized. Okay. Now, how the things work? Nothing in relation to taxability, just pure concept. If your salary, they say कि आपको every month your monthly package is of 5 lakhs, okay? And then they say we will deduct PF contribution. Okay, this 5 lakhs includes employer's contribution. No, let me make it easy for you first of all. Let me just tell you first the fund of this fund. Okay, sorry. This is this fund. Now here there is employer and then there is employee. Okay. Employer makes a contribution every month. Employee makes a contribution every month. Generally matching contribution hota hai. That means if he is making a contribution of rupees 2,220, then this person will also make a contribution of 2,220. Generally matching hota hai. You at your choice can make a more contribution also if you want more amount to be saved. If you want more amount to be saved. Employer is making a contribution, employee is making a contribution. Then interest component could also be there. Interest you will get you will be getting in the fund. Interest would be in the fund. Interest would be how much? Employer का interest, employer की contribution पे जो interest मिल रहा होगा, and employee के contribution पे जो interest मिल रहा होगा, right? So in a fund there would be 4 components: employer contribution and उसका interest, employee contribution and uska interest. Clear? So in a fund there would be 4 components generally: SPF, RPF, URPF. Clear? Yes. अब जो employer contribution देगा, that would be part of my salary. Why? Because he, again, remember, he is paying for my behalf. That fund would be used by me, right? That fund would be used by me. So hence it would be part of my salary. Okay, instead of giving it to me, he's giving it into some fund, which obviously I will receive after a certain period of time. Correct? Agreed? Yes. Employee जो contribution दे रहा है, the contribution which is done by the employee, the contribution which is done by the employee would become part of the salary? No. Would become part of the income? No. It would be an investment. Investment करा मैंने अपने pocket से I've given a contribution. So that would be deductible depending upon the provident fund. I will tell you. Okay? So that is an expense for me in the sense of that's an investment for me. That's a cash outflow for me, right? Interest part obviously would be the income. But now we will discuss the taxability of it. Now we'll discuss the taxability of it. कि अलग-अलग fund में what is the taxability? What is the taxability in SPF? What is the taxability in RPF? And what is the taxability in the URPF? Okay. So let's discuss the taxability. Fund समझ आया? Fund का फंडा समझ आया? How things work? Employer makes a contribution, employee makes a contribution. You get interest on employer contribution, you get interest on employee contribution. Now we'll discuss the taxability. पहले we'll come to the taxability of PPF. Which we just discussed. In PPF, obviously employer is not making the contribution, only employee is making the contribution. Now to the RPF. Now to the RPF, which is my recognized provident fund. But usse pehle bhi let's first see SPF, statutory provident fund. So I told you employer's contribution to a fund, provident fund is salary. But in statutory provident fund, employer's contribution is fully exempt. Employer's contribution is fully exempt. Now for the employee's contribution, which is, think yourself as an employee, okay? You are contributing in that provident fund. You are contributing in that provident fund. Think yourself as an employee. You are giving it out from your pocket, right? So will it be eligible for, is it a part of your income? No. It is eligible for deduction? Yes, under section 80C. Clear? Any interest which you are receiving is fully exempt. There are certain conditions which we will talk about. No problem, hopefully. Now we come to the RPF, which is your recognized provident fund. Recognized provident fund may, again, employer's contribution is to be considered as salary. Right? Employer's contribution is to be considered as salary. But it is exempt up to 12% of the salary. That means, so I told you, in the fund, anything which is put by employer is salary, right? Is my part of the salary. It's my parts of the salary, but it is exempt up to 12% of salary. Exempt up to 12% of salary. That, and here salary means the same thing. Basic salary plus DNS of retirement benefit plus commission based on turnover. So if an employer is contributing 15% of the salary to my PF account, but only how much would be taxable as salary component? 15 minus 12% of the salary. Okay, 15 minus 12% of the salary. Or you can say the taxability arises only when the employer is contributing more than 12% of the salary. Is it clear? Now on the employee contribution, obviously I am making an investment from my own pocket. That is a deduction. Now on the interest part. We come to the interest part. Interest part, my students, any interest का rate generally 8% से नीचे होता है, but if the interest rate is more than 9.5%, if the interest rate is more than 9.5%, then the excess interest rate would be taxable as salary. Excess interest rate means excess of 9.5%. So if the interest rate here going on is 15%, then excess part would be considered as salary. मतलब 15% interest you have received 15,000 as interest. So 15,000 divided by 15%. Sorry. So 5,500 would be excess interest, which would be taxable. Okay, how did I calculate excess interest? 15,000 is getting received on 15%, so 9.5% पे कितना मिल रहा होगा? Minus that unity method, so you will get your 5,500, which would be taxable interest. Simple, clear. There is one more concept to it, which first we'll do a question and then we'll understand. And URPF pay. URPF is a non-recognized provident fund. So employer contribution is not taxable as salary. Employee contribution is not eligible for deduction. Interest is also not taxable. Ma'am, why? This is the benefit. Nothing is getting taxable. No. Once you withdraw the amount, the lump sum of it, total lump sum of it gets taxable. So it is a very dangerous fund to invest in. Very less you see URPF cases, but it's a very dangerous fund to invest in. Okay, so now let's do one question. Come to this question, please. This is a full-fledged question और यहाँ पे हमने gross salary compute करने को बोला हुआ है. Not only one component, the full salary has to be computed. B is working in XYZ Limited and has given the details of his income for the previous year 2021 and 2022. You are required to compute the gross salary from the details given below. Basic salary 10,000 per month, DNS 50% of retirement benefits 8,000 per month, commission 0.1%, turnover during the year 50 lakhs, bonus 40,000, gratuity 25,000, RPF contribution his own 20,000, employer's contribution 20% of basic salary. Interest accrued in RPF 13%. ये इंटरेस्ट अमाउंट दिया हुआ है at 13%, 13,000. ठीक है, तो 1% is 1,000. Now let's calculate it. Basic salary पूरा का पूरा taxable 1,20,000. DNS allowance full का full taxable 8,000 into 12 96,000. Commission full taxable 0.1% of 50 lakhs 5,000. Bonus full taxable 40,000. Gratuity full taxable. Why? Received during the employment. कहीं पे भी is it written that he has retired? No. So 40,000 fully taxable, 25,000 fully taxable. All these things you have to write it in note. Gratuity, why you are getting taxable. Now we come to the contributions of Provident Fund. 20,000. Do we have to do anything of this 20,000? No. Salary calculation mein no, because this is my own contribution. Bhai, I am giving the contribution. Why should I include it in the income? No sense. Now we come to employer's contribution. How much employer has contributed? 20% of the basic salary. 1,20,000 ka 1,20,000 ka 20%. The person has contributed, which comes to 24,000, right? But what is allowed? Only 12% of salary. Now, students, interesting thing kya hai? He has given a contribution of 20% of the basic salary only, right? He has not given a contribution of 20% of salary, DNS allowance, retirement benefits. No, he has given 20% of basics, 24,000. Please do not make 8% taxable direct. No. Calculate 12% of the salary, because the definition here for salary is different, right? This is 20% of basic salary which he has contributed. We have to calculate the exemption which would be based on this salary, and that is different. First of all, let's calculate this salary. Basic salary would be 1,20,000. Plus DNS allowance forming part of retirement benefit, which would be 96,000 ka 50%, right? 48,000. 1,20,000 था ना, हाँ 48,000 plus commission पूरा, right, 5,000. This is my salary, so 5,000 plus 48,000 plus 1,20,000. 12% of this would come to 20,760. So my taxable contribution of employer would be 24,000 minus 20,760, which is 3,240. Clear? 3,240. Now interest हमें कितना मिला है? 13,000. It is accrued in the RPF. It would be taxable. Again, due or received. So 13,000 is fine. But how much is taxable? Pura is not taxable. We get exemption up to 9.5%. So 13,000 is at the rate of 13%. So 9.5% would be how much? 9,500. 3,500 would be taxable. 3,500 interest component under salary. And obviously 20,760 exempt for the employer's contribution. Koi doubt? No. Now students, one more thing. This will come very rare, but you have to take care of it. If the employee's contribution, I am talking about the employee's contribution if the employee's contribution I'm talking about is more than 2,50,000 in year, yani mera contribution in the fund is more than 2,50,000 in a year, then the interest on that excess part would also be taxable. Interest on that excess part. So it's 4 lakh is my contribution during the year. So excess of 2,50,000 is 1,50,000. Whatever interest is getting accrued would also be taxable. Whatever interest is getting accrued will also be taxable. And similarly, if employer is not making a contribution and only I am the single contributor in that fund, then this 2,50,000 would be 5 lakhs. So if anything, I'm contributing over and above 5 lakhs in a provident fund, the excess would be taxable. The excess interest on that excess amount would be taxable. Will come very rare in your question. एक specific case है which would be covered later. Now this is clear. I hope you. Let me see your questions. Bhavna, on the leave part, if the employee is only providing 28 days, then you will consider 28 days. If they're providing more than 30 days, then you will consider 30 days. For government employees, they would be contributing in statutory provident fund. That's why employer contribution would be exempt. Rekha, which 6% is chargeable? Mutual fund is totally different. This is a provident fund. Provident fund is governed by Provident Fund Act, Employees Provident Fund Act. No, this is totally different. Okay? Interest calculation, okay. मुझे बोला गया I have received interest of 13,000, which is computed at 13%. If I have to compute the interest at 9.5%, how much it would be? Simple unitary method, 13% of X is 13,000, right? So X is equal to how much? 13,000 divided by 13%, simple. But is he X ka 9.5% I have to calculate. So whatever this comes, so 13,000 divided by 13%, whatever the value would come, I'll multiply by 9.5%, right? So instead of going through all the steps, 13,000 divided by 30 into 9.5 would give me the taxable amount, or the 9.5% per interest amount that would be reduced, and I would get the taxable amount. Yes, 2.5 lakh is provided in the latest edition of the book. Perfect. Now students, again, अब तो पैसा डालते गए, you're putting the money in the fund. Now it's time to terminate the fund, or now it's time to withdraw the balance of the fund. Right now, what happens? Again, we move from right to left. As a public provident fund is a normal fund. Usme a person who is not even an employee can contribute it. He is the sole contributor in it. वो पैसे डालता रहेगा, simple. ठीक है? And उसमें only he get a deduction. Interest is not taxable. Now, coming to the withdrawal. Any amount which is withdrawn from a public provident fund after the lock-in period is exempt. Similarly, statutory provident funds say whatever you will, the amount is withdrawn, who will receive it? Employee would receive it. Correct? It was my fund. Employer was making the contribution, and when he was making the contribution, I took it as salary, subject to exemptions, right? Now I am withdrawing the amount. I am receiving the amount. So whatever lump sum I receive would be exempt. Clear? Now on to the URPF, unrecognized provident fund. Now unrecognized provident fund with students, what happened? Simple सा चीज है. Nothing was taxable when employer was making a contribution. When employee was making a contribution, no deduction was employed. When interest was not taxable, right? But now it's time to withdraw. The moment I withdraw, whatever employer's contribution, the moment I withdraw, क्या होगा? Already इस component में what all 4 parts are there in the fund? There is employer contribution, ER employer. There is employee contribution, right? There is interest on employer contribution, and there is interest on employee contribution. Iska interest and interest. Right? Correct? Yes. अब ये बचा है. Now when we withdraw from the URPF, employee contribution was मेरे pocket से I did not get deduction. So when this is withdrawn, no taxability. Interest on employee contribution, nothing was taxed when the interest was getting accrued. Now the interest on employee contribution pura would be other sources. So if I'll tell you, and now employer contribution wala part would go, and interest on employer contribution wala part would go under the head salary as profit in lieu of salary. So what happened? So suppose there was a total withdrawal of 5 lakhs. जिसमें से 2 lakh was employer contribution, 2 lakh was employee contribution. Total withdrawal after a certain period of time. 50,000 was interest on employer contribution. 50,000 was ये breakup आता है statement में, the breakup is there, so do not worry about that. 50,000 was interest on employee contribution. So 2 lakh no taxability. 50,000 would go in other sources. 2,50,000 would go in salary. So you see, student, problem ho gaya na, because instead of taxability under different years throughout the years of contribution, now he has to give the tax on the lump sum itself. Now he has to give the tax on lump sum itself. So URPF is a dangerous thing to contribute into. So 2 lakh plus 50,000 will go in salary. 50,000 will go in other sources जो उसकी contribution का interest है. Employees contribution interest will go in other sources. Clear? Start. Now for the RPF part. RPF से recognized provident funds से whatever amount is withdrawn after 5 years, after 5 completed years of contribution would be exempt. What did I say? After 5 years. 5 years from what date to from what date? From starting of that fund to the last contribution. 5 years ho gaya, then you can withdraw the amount. I can, even if I'm continuing the service, I can still withdraw the amount after 5 years. But 5 years mandatory contribution. Or if I've left the service, say after 7 years or 8 years, I'm withdrawing the fund now, nothing would be taxable. Now, what happens before 5 years? Before 5 years, I'll tell you, but there are 3 exceptions to it. I told you after 5 years, nothing is taxable from RPF, the lump sum. Nothing is taxable. But before 5 years, if I withdraw, it would be taxable. Yes. How it would be taxable? Similar to what URPF is. जैसे URPF का taxable होता था, similar to that would be taxable if I withdraw it before 5 years. Employee contribution will not be taxable. Interest will go to other sources. Employer contribution and the interest thereon would go to salary to the extent it was not taxable. But here what will happen? Before 5 years, right? Similar. So if you withdraw, so in crux, if you withdraw before 5 years, the RPF would be treated as URPF for taxability. Correct? But there are certain exemptions that if you got ill, or if the business got discontinued, if you got ill or the business got discontinued, or business got discontinued, and there was one more thing. Just me. Or there's any other cause beyond employee control. Sorry. Ill matlab, because of being ill, you have to take early retirement because of some ill or disability. Now you cannot continue the job. Obviously, 5 years cannot be completed. Or the business itself got shut. Then also 5 years could not be completed. Or some factor which was uncontrollable or which was beyond your control, because of which now the 5 years cannot be completed. Then in that case, if you withdraw before 5 years, nothing would be taxable. What did I say? After 5 years, nothing is taxable. Before 5 years, it would be taxable, similar to what is in URPF. But if before 5 years, due to ill, discontinuance of business or uncontrollable factor, you cannot make, the employer is not making the contribution and you are not making the contribution, then the withdrawal amount would not be taxable. One thing. Another thing, ma'am, 5 years that same employer has to make the contribution? Yes. But if, ma'am, what if we change the job? What if we change the job, then what will happen? So if you are changing the job, first you are with X employer, now you are with Y employer. because very less population continues for continuous 5 years, right? Then what you do, X बंदे के साथ whatever fund was being maintained, X employer के साथ whatever fund was being maintained, you transfer it now in the name of Y employer. So there is a continuity of fund, but now only the employer has changed. So 5 years the fund is getting continued, but the employer has changed, right? So the RPF balance in ex-employer's fund, RPF balance coming from ex-employer's fund is now transferred to the RPF. Same दोनों जगह RPF होना चाहिए. Now is transferred to the RPF of the Y employers. Then it would be considered as continuous of service. It would not be a problem. Meaning thereby, if I work here for 3 years, then I switched my job. And now I work here for another 4 years. And then I withdraw my PF contribution. So you will say, ma'am, continuous 5 years ka service to nahi hua, so we will have to pay tax. I'll say no, because there is a continuous 5 years of service, because previous employer period would also be included. Why? Because I transferred the same fund which was maintained with the previous employer, the balance of the same fund to the new employer's fund, and hence a continuity has been maintained, and now it is 7 years in total. Clear? So 5 years with one employer, if not 5 years in 2 employers, but the balance should be transferred from one RPF to the another RPF, RPF to RPF, RPF to URPF, not allowed. Continuous services के लिए. Simple language में, if you are not continuing with the same employer for 5 years, then transfer the fund to the new employer, provided both are RPF, and the total 5-year period would be considered as the previous employer's period and the current employer's period, to see if the fund is to see if the taxability is there or not. Okay. And agar aap ye bhi nahi kar rahe, if you're not doing this, you were working with ex-employer, and now you shifted to Y employer. You were working there for 3 years. Now, obviously, see, this is a thing that once the employer stops contributing, it is said that there is no continuous contribution. So 3 years mein you were working. Now you shifted to another employer. RPF is maintained here also. Yeah, what happened? URPF is maintained. Now what you will do? You will say, if I withdraw this amount, everything would be taxable, whatever the contribution has done in 3 years. What will you do? You will transfer this all amount into an NPS account, National Pension Scheme account. Then also this transferring of the Provident Fund balance into an NPS account would also be considered as not taxable, So in short, to save yourself from a situation where you are not serving an organization for continuous 5-year period and you do not want your Provident Fund balance to be taxable, there are 2 options. One is either to go to an employer who is already running a recognized Provident Fund, okay, and then transfer the whole paisa from one RPF to another RPF. Nothing would be taxable, and 5 years continuous services would be considered as a total period of both the employers. Okay? But if you are going to another employer and you say, oh my God, this is URPF here, what should I do now? This RPF ka balance would be taxable. Save yourself by transferring it to another NPS account. Clear? So with this, our Provident Fund taxability is over. As a homework, students, some self-study is very, very important. You will do illustration number 6, illustration number 7, illustration 8 is already done. And also 2 very basic topic will be read by you, which is retrenchment compensation and voluntary retirement receipts. Very basic topics, very basic exemptions are there. Please try doing it on your own. The notes of it is there. Very rare retrenchment compensation comes. Retrenchment compensation is when आपको निकाला जाता है because of industry factors, जैसे recession आ गया and now you are asked to leave. So Industrial Dispute Act के according you are given the compensation. Voluntary retirement is when you voluntarily choose to retire. Only in government cases or public companies such thing is there. Voluntary आप retire कर रहे हो, so you get a fund, you get a lump sum amount. So how is that lump sum tax? Full lump sum is taxable, but on certain exemptions. So you study that. So all those things has to be done by you. Obviously, if not clear, I will take in the class. But these are very two things, very basic, comes very rare in exam. That's why I want you to do it by yourself. So illustration 6, 7 and 9 is your homework. In the next class, we'll begin with the purposes. But obviously before that, let me see your questions. After 7 years, after 5 years, even if you're continuing the services, you can withdraw the amount. So, Rekha and Riya, this is very typical. 2.5 lakhs के ऊपर, if I am as an employee is making a contribution, because in that statement every contribution is different, interest on every contribution is different. So if my contribution crosses, say it comes to 4 lakh, so 1,50,000 पे whatever interest is coming now. So suppose करो 4 lakh पे they have given me कि I have earned 40,000, right? So that means on 1,50,000 I would have earned 15,000. So that 15,000 would be fully taxable. And what 9.5% wala limit you will see on the remaining interest. You want me to take up voluntary retirement scheme? Also, yes, thank you, Ashish. Profit in lieu of salary को पढ़ के आना. Profit in lieu of salary is nothing, but instead of salary, anything which is given in respect of salary is profit in lieu of salary. उसमें terminate करने के लिए whatever compensation is given, that is your profit in lieu of salary. Any income which comes out of a relationship of master and servant, employer and employee, is profit in lieu of salary. Abhi we saw unrecognized provident fund में the employer's contribution and interest on employer's contribution is profit in lieu of salary. Key man insurance policy. Key man insurance policy means key man क्या होता है? Key man, vital, important man. Important man insurance is done by the companies. उस पे anything which is received on insurance is key man insurance policy. So if you are a key man, if you are a key man, then whatever amount you are receiving because of the policy which your employer took, that is key man insurance policy, that is your profit in lieu of salary. Sunil, tell me the withdrawal part में PF में कौन सा चीज? Provident, public provident fund, URPF or RPF? Which part you want me to explain? URPF में देखो, I told you, supposedly you're calculating 5 lakh withdrawal है total. So employer contribution and employee contribution would be taxable as salary. Employer contribution and interest on employer contribution would be taxable as salary. Employee contribution would not be taxable because that is something which I gave from my own pocket and I'm getting back. But interest on it would be taxable as other sources because obviously this is interest on my contribution. Nothing is related to salary. Right? And this is also called profit in lieu of salary. Instead of giving into your account, they're giving into your fund. Now to the RPF part, RPF may anything which is withdrawn after 5 years of continuous service is exempt. If you're withdrawing it before 5 years of continuous service, or if there was no continuous contribution for 5 years, then your then the amount would be taxable, just like this. just like your this employer-employee, and interest would go into other sources. But if the withdrawal is because of illness or discontinuance of business, then nothing would be taxable. If instead of withdrawing that fund, you have transferred the fund to another employer, then it would not be taxable. Then 5-year continuous period of services would be taken off this also and Y also. But instead of transferring it to another recognized provident fund, you are transferring it to the NPS, then also it could be not a problem. Clear? Please, अच्छे से पढ़ना. Do not worry. I understand there are so many new things which you are getting used to, but I hope with the practical understanding it would be easier. Employee interest पे भी part on this statutory provident fund is the same concept. Is the same concept means there is no 9.5% limit, but if there's more than 2,50,000 per contribution, then on the excess contribution of the employee, whatever interest is getting, the same would be taxable. But सच्ची में in practical life 9.5% interest मिलता नहीं on PF. There is no 9.5% interest in PF. Okay, so with this we wrap up our today's section. Please study, make note, confuse mat karna, simple step by step, understand the concepts and move forward. Please do study retirement compensation and voluntary retirement scheme. Okay, thank you. Take care. Bye. Happy learning. Okay, sir. Thank you.